and YouTube. This is Gutter Calhoun, aka with another freestyle session. It's freestyle session 10. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it for you. Feel me? Yo. Everything what you see, nigga. When we gonna smoke them trees, my nigga. And everything you see, my nigga. When we smoke them motherfucking trees, my nigga. When they're coming through, but that game is your life. The niggas cock it back, no cat, got them stripes. But boy, niggas don't know who I am. The sandman, keep it goddamn who I am. I'm listening just a misery. Fuck that shit, I'm bored now. Niggas got to smoke the cheaper. Fuck that shit, that ether reefer. Fucking with your ether. Fuck that shit, I'm ether. Fuck that shit, I'm real leader. Nigga, I'm a motherfucking monster in the goon. Niggas like that, motherfucker, salute to my goons. 400-pound, but I'm flexing, homie. Then niggas catch your weight, niggas gotta flex them, homie. But that shit, boy, niggas don't know with me. Niggas cock it back and understand reality. Now fuck that shit, boy, have a little session though. On this YouTube shit, understand that session though. And everything robotic, niggas got that kerosonic. Then niggas boom bionic. Understand the phonic and understand the finer things in life. That's his motherfucking work, but them counting them straight. Goddamn, I'm listening, I'm hitting, I'm listening, I'm down, got him, yeah, okay, yeah.
This beat is so intro.
Man, how you like the new sound on the grill? Yeah. Got them country boys. Yo, I'm about that heat up, understand the reaper for that shit. Understand my boys in the keep it secret. But what I'm going through, understand it's calling me. Understand we gotta be motherfuckers cashing teeth. Trying to blaze it on the street. Understand it's all on me. Niggas cock it, rest in peace. Motherfucking pop and bitch. You see everything you hear. That niggas disappear like words, niggas keep it real. I understand the mad, understand what we got. I got to say that, motherfucking black. Understand we got my goons ready, just a ready for war. Understand, motherfucker, I got them rooms for that shit. Understand, I'm playing out. Niggas got to jump around. Understand, we playing out. Fuck that shit that going down. Understand, we playing out. Motherfuck that shit down. Understand, we playing out. Fuck that shit, boy. Niggas got that understand. MOB for life. Niggas got that really train. Understand, nigga, motherfucker got that really drink. Got that stank. Motherfucker roll that stank. Now, I'ma play you about this blue dream that I smoked last night. It was real dreams. 2 nights in a row, smoking blue dreams. But that shit, motherfucker got that Hollywood. And niggas don't know everything that be like wood. I understand, boy, niggas got that be like wood. But that's the bad. They niggas got it back from that North Cat. Salute, motherfucker, to my soul. Thought I told you. Goddamn, it's over. We got back, and understand we over. Bruh, this is what I do. Niggas like that, I'm Yeah, you too. Yeah, this how we do, nigga. Yeah, this how it work, nigga. Yeah, Oh, I'm ready. Yeah, listen. Everything is here. Understand no trust. Fuck that shit, boy. I am Bill Russell. Making paper, dog. Understand, dog. I ain't no real dog. I'm for real, dog. I'm a killer nigga. I'm a street nigga. I'm a whatever you wanna be. Personality nigga. I'm schizo. And end up with the frantic. Nah, I'm schizo bipolar. That's what they call me. Understand, I'm not even none of those. Fuck that shit, you think I really just think of my mind. Long as I take my meds every fucking day, homie. Motherfucker chief, nigga, that's my meds, homie. Niggas got it back, understand we relax. Relax a lot, niggas got that throwback. And we ready, and we ready. Niggas can't trust niggas like that, son. I'm ballin'. Niggas got the fucking gas, son. But we ready to kill them Marines. Niggas got that Killer Marine entertainment, nigga. Gorilla Mafia. What's for Lakin, homie? That's 7, homie. Got the no sign language do the shit, homie. What day it is? I can't even tell you today because I'm high as hell. This is what I do. Niggas hold a fish. Fuck that shit, boy. I'm ballin' like Russell Simmons. I love Russell Simmons. That's my nigga, though. Yeah. I'm ballin', nigga. Back in the days, man, I pull up all that heat. Nigga callin' back, understand me, callin' me what's in it, cause I'm flexing on them niggas. I'm flexing on them niggas. I'm flexing on them niggas. Pussy, fuck, boy. All I'm doing is doing random beats, you feel me? Random beats. No hesitation when I spit too, and no regrets. Once again, no regrets. Listen to the street, nigga. Got that 4-5, nigga, ready heat, nigga. Like that shit, laying niggas 6 feet deep, nigga. Now understand, motherfucker, got the ropes, nigga. Then niggas talking back, niggas ready to fight, nigga. And this is what I do, I love to fucking fight, nigga. Another motherfucker, that shit, I'm a real nigga. My niggas got back, fucking with the heel figures. This figure shit, man, I got to fucking top my figures. Motherfucker, give me 8 fucking really figures. I got the real nigga, I got the shooting nigga out in they belly. Niggas calling me so it man, I really just the it man. I understand, man, I really just a big man. I wanna fuck that shit. I love the fucking fight. And niggas talking back, niggas got that say at night. The niggas going down, understand we keep it real. I need the streets, motherfuckers like how you dig. You dig me? Or fit me? Or fit dig me? Understand they love me in North Carolina. Bust to the game, niggas open. Niggas don't know, everything keep floating. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I'm fighting like Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. A nigga, I'm a motherfucking beast in the street. Niggas cock back, niggas got the hole in the wall. Fuck that shit, man, I look into the hole in the wall. Got my gas up, then I shoot the hole in the wall. Understand, boy, niggas got the real toy. Hey, understand, boy, niggas got the real bitch. Fuck that shit, got a ride or die, bitch, really? Niggas got to shoot you up with a Mac Minutes from City. Niggas don't know in the gritty. Fuck that shit, boy, niggas cock it back in the really. Understand, I'm a motherfucking beast. A beast in the streets, motherfucker, love to throw that heat. I'm a motherfucking beast, nigga. Fuck that, boy, motherfucking street, nigga. Straight hood, nigga. Straight karate, nigga. Motherfucking never know me and you, nigga. This is what I do, niggas got to shake to it. Motherfuck that shit, shake it, break it, back to it. I understand, I'm a man, B. And niggas like that, the mother's trying to kill me. How niggas don't care and ain't afraid to die. And what I'm afraid of, make it too fucking heavy. And niggas got it back, niggas don't know be alive. Niggas don't know, but everything is fucking back. North Carolina, that's where I'm from. North Carolina is really getting done. Stupid, but all this politician and shit. Understand, motherfucker, don't give a shit about it, nigga. I'm a beast in the streets, nigga. I do my own thing, nigga. Got that heat, nigga. I like the Obama. Do a second term. Now, Obama, do a second term. This is what I do. Do a sign language. This is what I know. I know sign language. This is what I be. I am sign language. Sign language. Listen. Pay attention. Huh? Yeah. Get mean with it. That's how we do. Get mean with it. I'm always the bad guy. Yeah. Trying to stitch on me? Don't hate, nigga. Fuck that shit, man. I can't calculate. Trying to hit me? I will hit you. Hit you with the 4 Glock. Niggas keep it lit. Understand, boy? Niggas got my fucking goons. Niggas like that. And you fucking got goons. How many you got? You got 30 fucking goons. In the trunk, me, I got 60 goons. I got 100 goons. I got 1,000,000 goons. Tryna battle me, man, I'm battling the ghost. Be you fucking with your shit? Understand that be the listening is missing and understanding is hissing like a snake when I speak and pin them over. Cause they call me Cobra. Niggas like that, G.I. Joe, it's over. Fuck boy, nigga, understand that, keep it real. Fuck that shit, I'm real, nigga. Understand that, mafia, nigga. Keep it on the drill, nigga. Understand I'm kill, nigga. Understand we rock round, niggas call it rap downs. Fuck that shit, I'm a motherfucking street. Understand we got that shit. Let her fucking tote that heat. 4 blocks in the Glock, had the chopper. Niggas got that bazooka. Niggas love that bazooka. I love that motherfucking explosion. That speed is hosing. I told you, I wrote you, I fold you. And niggas got that road you. This combat, no cat. This is freestyle 16. This beat the k.m.e. Understand this feel is here. Understand we keep it chill. Understand I grew up in A-Town, baby. Yeah, that's what you need to know. Yeah, I'm a motherfucking monster. Yeah, I'm a motherfucking beast master. Yeah, I'm a motherfucking king of the streets. Motherfucking military. See, fuck that shit, boy. I'm the king of freestyle. And this is what I do. Man, I do it but wow. I have many things what I really say. Niggas cocky play, niggas gotta really play. I'm jumping over the fence, dummy, with my holy gas, homie. Understand I wrapped up. Nigga gotta shoot him in his back, make him live though. Understand, boy, and they tryna do my studio. This is what I do. I do it for fun. Niggas like that, you ain't nothing but a pussy fuck, boy. Pussy fuck, boy. Listen, this all I do. This how I beat, you know what I'm saying? Straight from the streets of no cat. Wendell, North Carolina, Raleigh area. You know what I'm saying? Raleigh, North Carolina, Wendell area, Freeway. You understand? Angela, you know what I'm saying? Where I grew up at, Harnett Central High, you know what I'm saying? Harnett Central Middle, Lafayette, one I got the name. Favorite cousin, friend, you already know. It's for you, baby. This.